So welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. Today we are taking a look at Pacific Victory, and this is the second edition from Columbia Games. It's Pacific Theater of World War II, and as you can imagine, Columbia Games, designed by Tom Dalglish, but this is a block war game, and it comes in their very typical iconic Columbia box where it's got a sleeve and it's kind of a pizza box you'll open up, but it's got the whole of Pacific Theater on there in a map that's kind of abstracted into a shape where it's very interesting how the layout is. It's not just like land, sea. It's kind of spread out, so you've got more focus on bringing the troops and the Navy fleets down. So very interesting how that's going to play out. Block war game, as you can tell. This has a lot of scenarios in it. It's a two-player game. You can play it in 2 or 3 hours if you know what you're doing, but there's a lot of different scenarios for different lengths. So you can play the whole war, which is going to take you a while, but there's, play the late war or just the early war. You can do all that too. So here's the sleeve. If you've not played the Columbia games before, and you get this kind of pizza box, right? So you open up the flap, lifts up, and everything's in here. So, and the first thing I tell you, a lot of Columbia games, it's these block war games, this one has a ton of blocks. So you can see here there's a few dice in here, a few d6s, but a ton of blocks. So we'll get here in just a second. Alright, so it looks like we have a rule book. And we actually have, so this is a nice glossy rule book. And again, Columbia games, they're not super duper complicated, which means they're easy to learn, and I appreciate that. So you've got 15 pages of rules, but that's indexes and scenarios. So really 10 pages of rules here. 10 pages of rules. That's it. I like to see that. Looks like we have a second copy of the rule book that is identical. So you don't have to share a rule book with your partner. You can learn this together, which I appreciate. And then we have the stickers. So these are going to get stuck on one side of the blocks. So you have infantry units, got some air units here. These are naval units. These are allied ones. So you've got Americans, and then you've got some Royal Navy, Royal Australian Navy stuff here as well. You have Imperial Japanese Navy and the Army as well. So these stickers are going to go on these wooden blocks. Just open up a bunch. Blocks are nice wooden blocks, so you're going to have these British ones, or Commonwealth ones we'll call them. The orange ones are Japanese in this game, and the blue ones are American ones. And there's yellow ones. Let's see. The yellow ones look like it's Chiang Kai-shek and the Chinese. So it looks like yellow blocks are for the Chinese here. Are they green blocks? No. And then as the game's played with D6s, they gave you 4 of these. So that's what's in that bag. Stick these up, make sure to do them nice and straight. So I take my time doing those, there's no rush. And honestly, that's it. This is the map. So you don't have a ton of like play aids or maps and cards, everything else. Everything you need is sequence of play, unit data, stacking chart. And because with block war games, you're just rolling off. Basically, you're rolling based on the letters tell you their firing priority, and then you turn the blocks. If you look here, they've got these series of dots around them. This is 4. Oops, sorry. Here, this is 4 strength. So this, if this is at the top, it's 4 strength. If they take a hit, you turn it, so the 3's at the top. It's 3 strength. That's the number of dice this unit's going to roll. Turn it again, 2 strength, 1 strength, and they're dead. So you've got some of these units here. Looks like probably garrison. These only have 2 kind of steps to them, whereas these heavy infantry, they've got 4 steps to them. So pretty interesting how those work. If you've never played a block war game, I recommend doing it just because it's fun and a very different style of war game. This is the map. You can see this is a really big, thick map, and this is very, very, very heavy. I don't want to call it card because really it's board. Like this is done really well. This thing is huge. Ooh, now it folds out in a kind of crazy concertina here. Alright, let's get it out so we can see it. This is straight up like a board without being a board, but it basically is. Alright. Yeah, you can't even fit it on. This thing's quite big, which is nice. But you can see here, just for reference, I'll get a couple blocks out. These hexes, this is technically a hex game, are huge. There's 3 blocks in that hex. I don't know if you'll ever need that many, but there's a ton of space. This map is incredibly clear. There's not a ton of stuff, right? You've got some names, but it's just a very clear, well-produced and printed map. I'm going to show you over on this end of it here. I'm going to kind of have to jimmy things around because my camera can't get it all in. So you do have a terrain chart here with a key of what the different symbols mean. So home base, you've got home bases here, major base that don't have that little outline, and then minor bases, which are just the circles, and then the little dot are just reference points. This is just presumably cool pieces. I think that's just for geographical and historical value. But you can see, you've got all the way over here, you have the CBI theaters, you've got Burma, India, China, so you have to worry about all this. It's not just, Battle of Midway and fighting over a ton of islands. You have to do that as well, but you do have the full Commonwealth forces. You've got to protect Australia, especially in the early game as well. But you're also, and we're going to kind of show this over here. So you have a box of the Panama Canal, bringing in ships built on the East Coast. But you also have San Francisco and San Diego up in Canada. But you can kind of see it's just pushed up in this corner. Normally you'd see that kind of more down here. But the way the map's set up, all of the important islands you'll have to fight over in a very strategic way, but it keeps everything manageable with the number of hexes and how much you have to travel. So I'm very excited to play this. Columbia games are always so fun, and that's what I look forward to this game. This is the block war games are just enjoyable. I have a good time with them, and it's like playing a war game that is fun. So I'm going to sticker this one up, and we're going to get this one played as soon as possible, because I just can't get enough of block war games, and there's just a ton of stuff to do in this one. So that's it, really. That's it. That's Pacific Victory. Get your hands on this. If you like what you see, you'll see a review from this one coming from us soon. But I'm excited to play this. I love Pacific Theater, love Columbia's games, love block war games, so this one's going to be a winner in my eyes.